All right, welcome to another episode of Executive Health and Life. I'm your host, Julian Hayes II, back with once again my favorite word, a fascinating guest, because everyone's fascinating. Because I only reach out to fascinating people to have conversations with. And today's topic is something around pain, and it's probably a different way of thinking about pain. I'm actually in a little pain today from a lot of the training I've been doing, but that's a whole nother story in itself. But oftentimes when we think about pain, we think about the area, but we do not really think about our mind and our emotional um, and how that can be related to pain. So I have a really fascinating subject matter expert in this, probably the foremost authority in this that I'm getting ready to talk to. And sorry, it's early for me. Her name is Sophia Kupse, and she's a leading pioneer. She's an innovator. She's a professional wellness practitioner, and she is an author. She's also the founder of the award-winning Erase Pain program. She has 3 international best-selling self-help books on the mind-body connection, which established her as an industry expert in the treatment of chronic pain using a natural and holistic approach. Now, she's been around for 30 years doing this, and this has made her the worldwide authority in the field of mindset and behavioral change that empowers people using her unique mind-body connection map so they can take control of this persistent pain and to gain so they can grow their wealth from their health. So without further ado, Sophia, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you, Julian, and thank you for having me as a guest on your podcast to
thank you.
talk about the subject.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining me. When we first got connected, I really enjoyed our conversation, and I enjoyed the work that you were doing, and partly because I'm a little unfamiliar with it. And so anytime that I can learn, I'm sure the listeners are going to be able to learn as well. So that really interests me. And you also have a very cool nickname that I mentioned. It's just the Muscle Whisperer. I didn't mention that part. So that's a very cool nickname in itself. Now, before we even dive into our main topic of focus here, let's get a little origin story on how'd you get to this point right now, and what was that? Did you have like a turning point in life that really led you down the health field?
Absolutely, Julian. We have to go back about 50 years when my mother was Italian, my father was Hungarian, so they came into the UK, United Kingdom, where we live in 1956 with very little in the hand, just a suitcase and clothes on the back, and they had a very difficult life. They came and worked in an industrial town, Bradford, West Yorkshire, and they met each other and got married and had 3 children. I'm the middle child, and I saw through their struggles and their stresses of life around money, because back then in the 60s, 70s, there were no loans and you got a mortgage and you had to pay everything back. There was nothing on credit cards as such, and so they worked extremely hard, and but they had a lot of stress, which created depression and led to a lot of physical pain, and I saw that all through growing up. And then it wasn't until my own story came out when I was 23. I'd been a year married, and it was Christmas Eve. I went to midnight mass, and when I came out, I got in the car, put my seatbelt on in 1987 when it officially became legal, and thank goodness I did, because as I set off in first gear, a drink driver hit me at 60 miles an hour, and I took the full impact of that accident, which left me with life-changing injuries. I wasn't able to walk, and doctors gave me a 3% chance of recovery and sent me home in a wheelchair after physiotherapy had failed and ongoing painkillers and medication to get my body started. It was a very damaged sciatic nerve. That was the reasoning behind the immobility. And it wasn't until I read Louise Hay, Heal Your Life, and Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, that was about 3-4 months after my accident, that I realised that through mindset change, that means visualisation, daily exercise, encouraging my mind to through thoughts and emotions, that I would start to make my recovery. And I did that, and within 6 months I was walking again. But the big game changer was when I went into the consultant's office, even with a walking stick, but I was walking, and I was so proud of my achievement. He didn't want to know how I did it. He shut me down completely and said, "You're 1 in a million. I'm not interested. Go and have a nice life." And it was at that point when I walked out of his office, I thought, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that put me on a quest for 34 years to research the subject of the mind-body connection, set up a couple of clinics of my own, one in Harley Street, London, and in West Yorkshire, in Leeds, Bradford, where I live. And I started to collect a lot of data when I worked with clients about their improvement and how quickly they improved just through the application of mindset changes. And I got phenomenal results. So that's where I'm at the moment. I wrote 3 best-selling books on the subject. And then I developed the Erase Pain program, which is a mapping system that identifies how your thoughts and emotions create physical pain.
Wow. So, when I hear that, it's kind of no surprise that you ended up where you are right now, because a lot of times something happens in our life that kind of directs us toward a career path. For me, I'm influenced by like my family and everything in my environment, and that's what led me down the health path. And for you, it sounds like that moment with the accident and everything and has led you there. And then also the incident with the physician and talking about, I don't even want to know, which it's always strange to me how if someone sees a miraculous result, something that's different to a lot of the quote unquote research out there, I would want to know, what'd you do? Because in case I ran into somebody else and we weren't getting results and we could at least try it. That baffles me. What about you?
I think exactly. But I think when you look at men of medicine, and it's all about the science, and it's all about proof as well, and evidence, and that was very important to me, because that's what I realized the medical professions want from people who choose to work in a holistic path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why data collection was really important. And I had a couple of great tools available from our system here, the NHS, called MyCore and MyMop, which I was able to get some legitimate data, which was the game changer, improving the concept of my methodology and innovation. And it's also very important, because I think as well, I'm not sure with yourself, Julian, and your listeners, but when I start to say your thinking, your daily thoughts can affect and increase your pain, your inflammation, can trigger disease and illness, can reduce your immune system, wouldn't you be you'd be thinking, but how can my thoughts do that? You'd want a little bit of evidence. So that's why I was excited to back it with proven concepts and evidence and research, because then the medical people would be starting to look interested in that natural concept that I developed, and get people to professional. I would find somebody who'd got a bit of science behind it, a very interesting, what we're looking for is the not solution. Yeah, it's an interesting solution, because nowadays with the health as it is, the medical professions as we have it, our system, our healthcare system is really struggling with COVID. We can't rely on medication to get us through pain or recovery. We've got to start dipping into our own natural ability to self-heal. So yeah, it's a good conversation, isn't it? If medics, they won't shut me down, you see. That's why, because I've got the research behind me.
Yeah. I'm curious, from the early days when you were, did you have any initial resistance with like your first few patients that you were working with and having such this unique methodology?
Well, it was interesting because I was on a journey developing that methodology and that innovation. So in the early days, I didn't realise what I was developing was different from what anybody else was doing out there. So when patients came to see me, it was more of a physical application. It came across as people were coming to me because they had neck, shoulder and lower back issues, conditions like sciatica, but they were saying to me with them was different to what anybody else was doing out there. And I kept thinking, no, I'm not doing anything different. I'm just having a conversation with you to find out where your pain is and how you believe it got there. And then we'd get on the couch, and then I would locate the pain pockets in the neck, shoulder, and then I'd start to talk about the mapping system and what places, people and events were in that muscle group linked to a thought. And it blew them away because I was right every time. Mm-hmm. And it started to interest me, did that. And I think people come to me when they are on a journey to recover, to the technical people, the physios, the chiropractors, osteopaths, acupuncturists. They've attained some results, but not sustainable results that they're looking for. And then a lot of them don't really want to go down the medical route to get medication because there's side effects. Mm-hmm. So they were seeking what I was doing first because they'd heard such great results. And then I thought, there must be some method in the madness that I'm doing. So I decided to take it to that next step and start drawing a diagram of the map and putting the people, places and events in the muscle groups and explaining to people how your relationships with the people at home or in your profession, or your stress around your money or family members that you're caring for, all have a place in your body. They live in different muscle groups and your pain will trigger in that place. So in the early stages, Julian, there were very few that I didn't have successful results with.
So let's dive into that a little bit. So essentially, like, our physical body can hold on to different sorts of emotional pain. So let's take, I guess, what's one of the most common ones? Do you think stress?
It's interesting. Do you want to start with what's the most common areas of pain that people come to me for treatment, and then when I tell them what is in that pocket of muscle, then that's the light bulb moment they get it. So I think it's easier to do that way around. Okay, so
let's do that.
I don't do a physical clinic now. I do it all online because I get bigger results online. So a person would come to me and they're constantly having neck pain. Now, in the mapping system, the right side of your body holds on to female energy, the left side holds on to what we call male energy. And in psychology, we are the parent to both the conscious adult mind and the unconscious mind, where you've heard the term, we talk to our inner self, our inner child. So that's how the mind works. Now, in the mapping system, the upper body is conscious adult relationships and thinking, your day-to-day thinking. So a person would come to me, have chronic neck pain, constantly getting neck pain on the right side of the neck, and probably the shoulder, the right side of the shoulder. And it doesn't matter what gender you are, male, female, or whatever you relate to, that's where energy sits in the body. And when I would say that your day-to-day stress, if you're a female, if you press down the right side of your neck and it hurts, that's where your adult thinking, your day-to-day stress sits about things going on in your life. And then at the bottom of your neck, right in the corner where the shoulder meets the neck, that's your relationship with your mother. So regardless of whether you're a man or woman, that's where, or whatever gender, that if you press there and you feel or not, then that's your current adult relationship with the parent, your mother. And they would say, wow, yes, But it would mean three things if you have a problem there. It means that the person's no longer here, they've passed away and you're missing them, or the person's here, you love them very much, but you worry about them, or the person's here, but you have a difficult relationship. It's hot and cold, it's up and down, it's volatile. And people would say, oh yeah, I'm struggling with my mum at the moment, we're at odds, or my mum's just passed away and I'm really missing her, or I'm worried because she's just been diagnosed with an illness. I'm feeling lost because I don't know how I can, help and support her. So that's the sort of common areas. So that's quite a strong area, isn't it? A parent. If it's the left side, that means it's the left side of the neck is, if you're a male, it's your stress.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you're a male and you feel pain in the right side of your neck, it's your relationship with your partner, your wife. It's definitely a pain in the neck. That's where we get the term pain in the neck. And if you're a woman and you have a husband or a partner and you get terrible pain down the neck or issues, it means it's your relationship with your partner or your husband. If they've passed away, there's the bereavement of him, or if you worry about him, it's all there. And so our partners literally are our pains in the neck. That's a really common terminology. But a lot of people then would relate their neck and shoulder pain, typically because you are trained to believe this concept, that I've been sat too long at the computer, or I'm driving for many hours, so that's why the tension sits there. But they're not thinking about what's on their mind currently around these family members and partners that could be really the underlying cause of the problem.
Wow, that's pretty. And I guess I kind of understand why when you tell someone this at the very beginning, it sounds quite random. So I'm thinking, how? I guess why do we even know why that it's like that? Like why is that type of why is it not here indicative of this type of situation?
Right then, and I think the biggest thing people query is about how does it get there? How do my thoughts in my head, how does my thinking travel down and hit that point? And then why does it relate to that person there? That's really the question. So, and that's what a lot of people think about. So in two parts, first of all, we have a system called muscle memory, and muscle memory, if a lot of people go and train like you do, Julian, and we exercise, we know the importance of muscle memory. It's responsible for not just, it's for our balance as well, and our mobility as well as exercising. But our thoughts travel down the muscle memory system, which is operated by millions of sensory nerves in our brain to our big toe. And so if you think that muscle memory, which has all these millions of sensory nerves, are like a networking communication center, so thoughts and trigger emotions, which have chemical changes in the body, which we'll go into in a minute, but thoughts then travel down that network, that system. And why does it land in the neck, shoulders, mid and lower back? Because our torso, that area, hold on to the biggest muscle groups in the body, and everything else that attaches to it, like your head, your arms, your legs, are just accessories. So if any part of that neck, shoulder, mid and lower back is compromised with tight muscles, you're going to have a problem. For instance, in the lower back, you get tight muscles, your glutes are tight, your lower back is tight, you can trigger sciatica. You can then have referral pain in your knees, in your feet, in your calves, and you can understand that, Julian, being a runner as well. If we've got any compromise in the shoulders and where the scapula is, the shoulder blades, you can guarantee you're going to have referral pain in your hands, in your elbow, in your arms at some point. And if you've got any compromise, any tight muscles building up, any pressure in the neck and the shoulders, you're going to have referral pain in the head through headaches or migraines. You can have pain in the face, such as jaw pain, neuralgia, toothache, earache. And so if you're anybody that clenches or grinds your teeth as well, you're going to trigger trauma down the neck muscles as well, and it can all refer into the chest as well. So to answer the question, these are how thoughts, and it's negative thoughts, by the way. We need to clarify the thoughts. Mm-hmm. Positive thinking and happy and great thoughts every day, when you're feeling good, create endorphins. And those endorphins, you've heard of them, oxytocin, dopamine. They heal the body naturally and they make you feel good. They are your natural, the dopamine is your natural pain, and that's why if you're training, you get a natural high, because it's like your natural morphine, that what the body needs. So the more you train, the more you seem to want to train. You can relate to that, can't you, Julian?
Yeah, it's addicting. It's addicting because someone asked me, why'd you run 24 and then why are you going to start doing even more miles and you already lift and box? So I was like, honestly, like, you're still early. This is someone who's fairly early in his exercise journey. And I was like, you're going to get to a point when you keep doing it, like you're almost going to crave it. You're literally going to crave it. And the hardest thing is to take a week off. The hardest thing, and missing a couple of days, you're going to feel it. How you crave food, like certain sweets, sometimes you're going to crave this because the feeling gets so strong. Even though there's pain sometimes, the feeling that you get outweighs it severely. And it's a very addicting thing. And running's a lot more addicting than lifting weights is. I will say that. I can't believe how addicting it is, because this is something that's recent for me. I didn't necessarily enjoy running or even think about running this far. I thought it would be boring. And while it is a little boring, like you said, the feelings, is the natural high that you get. It's indescribable, and it's a great stress relief. If I'm being quite honest, it's a very good stress relief.
It is, and it's encouraged actually that we have to train ourselves daily to do things like it. I mean, my days are long gone where I'm in the gym. However, I will not miss my 30-minute daily walk, because and I do a brisk walk, so it's not a slow walk, and because my body starts searching for it, because so used to it. It's a pattern, and what people have to do is start changing mindset to improve. People are seeking to become wealthy and they invest in all sorts of things, but they forget to invest in, a lot of people, in their health. They only value it when it starts depreciating, in the sense of pain starts to show up. People wouldn't look out for me unless they've got a pain problem, then they seek me out. But what I'm doing with my Erase Pain program, and that's why I work online a lot now, is it's a prevention program. Just like you want to age-proof somebody's body by ensuring that they are super fit, or at least healthy and fit, they put good nutrition in them. But it takes a mindset change to do that. It's a conditioning, and people have to have the motivation to do it, to get out of bed early and do it, because it can be challenging. But so therefore, where does the motivation come from? Where does it come from for you, Julian?
Oh, for me, it's I'm a very competitive person, and so I've learned to direct it a little bit. Not in sports, it's very good to be competitive with your opposition and everything, but now in like the business world and even just in personal every day to day, it's more like a competition with myself, and I have to be able to look at myself in the mirror and see that I'm growing, or at least I'm doing my very best at growing and pushing myself and really having no limits. Then also my father passing a few years ago, it really makes me also want to really get the most out of life. And to a certain extent, kind of not have a well-preserved body. I heard this recently, and it stuck with me that like really, get some scars, get some bruising and everything. Really put your body through the ringer a little bit, so you can leave it all on the field whenever that time comes.
Well, I think that's great motivation. But as you get older, and people have life challenges, like you said, you've been through bereavement with your father, so you want a sort of age-proof you. And my father passed away quite young. Well, I think it's young nowadays, 71.
My father was younger. He was 60.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's me in September. So the thing is, that is far too young. But you see, like me, what takes a motivation when challenges show up, in life, is you have to have the purpose and the passion. It has to be it has to come from a fire in your belly that like. For me, my vision is to be here at 103 and have my mind working right, my body working right, and when I leave this world, to leave it in my sleep as a 103-year-old. But you see, I'm already pre-programming my mindset to look at that goal. Just as you might leave the house and say, I'm going to run 20 miles a day or 10 miles. You have a target, you set it, don't you? But I think we get so caught up in the stress of life that we forget how the stress, the worry, the things that are on. I mean, some people don't even like to call it stress. So I'll change that. It's what's on your mind. The things that are on your mind are constantly killing you if they are not making you laugh and give you joy and any form of pleasure. I guarantee you they will be from a fear-based setting. And when you go into a fear-based setting, you start to catastrophize. And even though visually on the outside you might look like this, and people say, how are you doing? Oh, I'm okay, I'm fine. Inside you, you are caving in and you are not coping well. And your body keeps the score. It knows it. And as I said before, when the mind suffers, the body cries out. And it will come out. You can start to trigger cell changes. We all carry, and we all know in our DNA, we're predisposed to disease and illness. And certain people, you heard the story, you can have people smoking till, 40 cigarettes and they're 80 and they never get, a cancer or anything. And then you get someone who's never smoked a cigarette in their life, and then they've, get the illness. So what's triggering disease and illness? What's aging your cells is the constant conversation you have internally with you. So people, and there's a gap in the market, there's a grey area. People are brought up since your children not to understand that concept of how powerful that story is you're telling yourself inside can have on your mental and physical well-being. And so when you get illness or anything wrong with you, you think it's your body really being reactive to what's going on around you, isn't it? So it's about, my mission is out there to educate people that not just pain, but a decline in your immune system, your health and disease is sourced at root from what's going inside you and the conversations you have with yourself. And it's downloading in the body through that muscle memory system. And every cell carries that emotion and that message. And remember, when we're in a positive mindset, as I said before, you're releasing them good chemicals and good endorphins. So we want more of that in the body because that's what's healing you every day. But research shows us that any one person, 80% of the day is in a state of stress. Imagine that, 80%, that's new research. But so even though you think you're not stressed, subconsciously you might be holding that stress. So that isn't a healthy statistic. So we really need to be individually empowered to take responsibility for our own self-care, and our mindset, has to change for the better, because a negative mindset or a fear-based one or a worry-based one is pumping into your body adrenaline and cortisol. It's great to have those two guys, which is your fight and flight response when you're running for a bus, or you're burning it off in a run, say, or in the gym. But these chemicals show up even if you're sat at your desk right now, like me, talking to you, having this conversation. If I wasn't in a comfortable, relaxed state and I was in a stressed state, worrying about something else on my mind whilst having this conversation, I'd be releasing adrenaline now and cortisol. And guess what happens when those two guys show up? Cortisol will create your body fat. So if somebody out there is struggling to lose weight, then it's stress, because the cortisol is going to sit there as for men, belly fat, and for women, it's going to sit on the bottom, the hips, and the tummy. So at the end of the day, it's important. To me, I look at, you get these people that are constantly on diets and they can't lose the weight. And you're thinking, what's going on there? Well, they might have a stressed mindset, a worry, they're overthinking always. And adrenaline, if you're not burning it off, then it starts, it might leave the body through the lymphatic system, but a percentage converts to lactic acid and then stores in your muscle groups. And it will hit the neck, shoulders, mid and lower back first before every other muscle. And this is when the muscles start to become inflexible, they tighten up, and it's a gradual process over days, weeks, months. And suddenly, you get out of bed and you think, oh, my back hurts. I wonder why. What have I done? I must have done too much yesterday. But it isn't. It's all those conversations you've been internalizing, battling with, that have over the days, weeks, months been building that lactic level up until suddenly the knots put pressure on the sensory nerve. And unfortunately, you think you've pulled an injury, but you haven't. It's been created probably from a negative mindset without you realizing it's happened.
Wow. I hope listeners can go back for that last segment. That was a really powerful stuff right there, especially the part about, like, on the outside and the exterior, everything's looking fine. But then some of the conversations you're having with yourself, and then some of the conflicts in your head are just really stressing you, or you're just constantly thinking about them. They're not getting resolved, and that's just weighing on you, but you don't probably notice it until something happens. And so I related to the adrenaline part as well. When you said adrenaline, definitely related to that. I think the days that I don't do a lot of activity, I have a little too much energy. And so I think that's, funny. Typically, a lot of the people who do train, like kind of like myself, and I'm friends with, I kind of, now that you put that in my head, it makes sense, because they're all like running on adrenaline, like a lot of it. And, almost some people will say, man, this person's on edge, or this person's high strung or something. And but I'm also curious, why 103?
Well, it's easy because 100, 3 is my lucky number.
Okay.
So, and there's three numerals in 103, but it also ends in a 3. 3 digits in 100, 100. Then we bang 3 at the end of it, because I can't live till 1003. I don't think I'm possible. I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Okay.
At keeping myself going. But you see, I like it. I want to be a centurion. Somebody who lives to 100. But to be quite honest, I want to have quality of life, not just quantity. I think that's important when we age-proof ourselves. There's a shopping list of things to do, Julian. One of them's exercise. One of them's sleep, which I know you an expert on, and you train people and help people around that. Also diet. good nutrition, putting good food on you, drinking enough water. People have got a problem with water. It's like it's a bad word or something. We've got issues about drinking 2.5 litres a day. In here we drink endless cups of tea in England, which is great, but caffeine has, or coffee, whichever.
Well,
And
I have tea. I'm drinking tea.
oh wow, herbal
Yeah.
or property. We've got a good quality Yorkshire tea here in England, but where I live, so that's nice. But everything has an effect. So I'm trying to say 80% be good in your life, 20% naughty, and that's fine, because guess who wants to justify the naughty part? We have inside us, as I said, in psychology, 2 parts of the brain running. We've got the conscious adult mind, which does your day-to-day thinking, then the unconscious mind, which is your little inner child. Inner child's about 5 to 8 years old, and your inner child holds on to your fears, your values, your beliefs, and a lot of other baggage and emotions that's going on. But you see, your inner child is interesting, and I do a lot of inner child work with people one-to-one, because if you do not connect with the real you, the authentic you, keeps shutting the true you down, then your body's going to kick off as well in a lot of ways. It's going to start to have disagreements. For instance, with digestion, you're going to start having issues, or a lot of people, have bowel issues, constipation, and also, breakouts in spots. Stomach acid is high as well, and that's because there's a conflict going on in the relationship you have with yourself inside. There's not enough, not listening, acting on your gut instinct, which is all inner child. That's your authentic you, the true self. So you make a decision about something, you get the answer in about a second. It's the gut instinct that kicks in. You can relate to that, Julian, when you're making a decision. You get a feeling. Instead of going on that feeling, you suddenly decide, your head kicks in, and don't do that. Let's do something else. So you make a decision with your head, and guess what? It doesn't work out as good as it could have been. So when we listen to the gut, we've connected to our inner child, our inner self, and the right outcome happens all the time. So that's another key thing as well, that your body can start to have a negative effect. You're not getting the results in training you're looking for. You don't sleep correctly. Is it because of the conversations you've been having with yourself, and at the same time upsetting, not connecting to that true authentic you, which is in a child at the end of the day? And I think that's really important, the relationship you have with yourself before you have with anybody else, because if you don't have a good relationship with you, you will guarantee to attract the wrong person into your life.
How do you get? I'm sure a lot of people understand that concept of your inner child connecting with the real you. How do you guide someone on doing that?
Well, how do I guide someone who's working with me, or I can give out? The thing is,
either case, because I think sometimes it's. I think it's harder, like the more we get into this thing called adulting, to even think about our inner child or even who we are. Because I think people in general have a hard time even figuring out who they are, and then secondly, being comfortable with who they are and accepting that.
Well, I think it's down to a conditioning, and it's interesting. We've got to check it. There was a great song in '68 that was brought out. I think Kenny Rogers sang it first, just dropping in to check what condition my condition is in. Mm-hmm. And it was made into a rock song that was used in a film later on. But I think the important thing is to keep checking in on you. What condition, because we're conditioned in life from the beginning. We're conditioned by our parents through their values and beliefs. We're conditioned through our peer group, our siblings. Then we go out in the world and, we're influenced by social media, by the news, by our friendship groups, by the people we professionally work with. So you don't realise that you start losing, and your identity and character, personality gets diluted because we start to take on everybody else's persona. So you start losing the language of who you are as an individual. And I always think, how much are you conditioned? How much is left that's the true you? Can you really work out who the real you is? And like you says, Julian, you might have been, you've got so much conditioning in you that you don't recognize the real you anymore. So I don't know what the phrase adulting means. I'm not aware of that terminology here.
It's just a. I heard some kids say it. It's just a thing of just being an adult. You're not. You're just being an adult. You're older than 21, and everything's just, yeah. That's all. I don't. At least I think so. Somebody can message me if I'm wrong on that. But I think that's generally what that means.
I think the thing is, people, because especially time that we live in now, in this century, this decade, that time's going really fast, and we are so influenced by things on social media. It's getting worse, isn't it, about who we really are? So people are getting lost. We are getting lost in the translation of what's going out there in life, and therefore getting back to your true authentic self. Like you say, how do I connect people back to their inner self? Well, it starts with a problem. They'll come to me and say, I'm not happy with my life. I'm not happy with what's going on in my life, and that can be because of their relationship that they're in, their profession that they're in. And people come to a crossroads and they'll identify with themselves, I'm lost. And that's because they've taken other people's identity on, and they no longer know, people. I'm not sure if it happened to you, but for me, when I was young, my father always wanted me to be a hairdresser. Now, I couldn't relate to the profession. I wanted to be a singer, a dancer. I wanted to be on the stage. I love drama. I wanted to be the next Barbara Streisand. Obviously, I'm not. but the thing is, because I was a daydreamer, I used to, I see things in pictures, but I didn't want to be a hairdresser. My dad was going to set me up in a business, get me a shop, and I just couldn't associate with that. So I didn't go and do that, thank goodness. I went into this practice, health and well-being. But some people, a lot of clients I see, the parents want them to be a doctor, or they want them to be or a lawyer, and they do it for the parent, but then but they're not enjoying it. Mm-hmm. and they've held something back. They might have been, they wanted to be a sculptor or an artist, but the parent will say, well, that doesn't pay the bills. Stage of life. So I think it's that conditioning, and when people come to me, I identify, we connect back to the inner child, because we start working on what did they originally want to be from childhood, and then we start talking through values and beliefs. And I think that's another key area. If you notice you're a person that's constantly got things on your mind, or worrying about stuff that that you can't change in your life, then it's you don't really know your values and beliefs. What are your values and beliefs based on that you live your life every day? If I ask that question, could you rattle your values and beliefs off now, Julian?
Oh, put me on the spot. How many do I need to name?
No, I'm just saying, but
okay.
You do have values and beliefs, but
yeah.
If you were put on the spot, we all should be able to sit there and say what we value and we believe, and that is what drives us, what creates our motivation, our passion. And you know your values and beliefs because you connect to the people that you associate with, that align with your values and beliefs. You work with those types of people. But a lot of people are out there, they are lost within themselves because their values and belief system is broken, and our values and beliefs, what we believe in life to be right, is what grounds us. It forms the foundation of who we are as a person. I wouldn't go out deliberately and hurt anybody. I don't believe in that. I believe in justice. I believe everyone has the right to equality and the same choices. So that's one of my beliefs. It's things like that. It's what makes you as a person. So there's lots of layers, isn't there? It's like when I work with someone, it's like I take apart a puzzle and it's rebuilding that puzzle into the whole person they want to really be. Everyone's got the answer to their health issues, their pain, what they see themselves in the future to being inside them. The trouble is, most of us want experts, someone to take our hand and guide us on the journey. And when you are in that situation, it's the inner child that wants somebody to take their hand, and take them on that journey of becoming, who they want to be. And you can relate to that because, when we're children, it's our parents, that take our hand and guide us through life, through learning and play and all sorts. We learn so much from them, and even if we have difficult childhoods. I mean, I had an extremely difficult childhood. A lot of hardship and abuse was in there, and but it didn't stop me becoming the person I am today. In fact, I use those what people would call negative experiences as a point of growth. I am who I am today because of those negative experiences, those challenging experiences. I got my strength from my parents, seeing their struggles, but also having to battle my way through, say, my father, who probably had undiagnosed bipolar back then and had mood swings, and you had to live with it. But I became stronger for it, and I think I can identify to people a lot better because of being through those struggles and the hardship and the challenges as I was growing up.
Now, did certain things, since I know you mentioned that the body keeps scars, and so you had
the scar, not just, that's a good one though, Julian. The body keeps the scars. You're quite right, but the body keeps the scar.
Oh, the body keeps the scar.
And then it's got, and it wasn't a term, and I won't take credit for that because it's a book by Bessel van der Kolk, who is a Dutch psychologist who wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Scar. And I could relate to that because I used to think, wow, that's mind-blowing. So the body keeps the scar because how you think and feel is the outcome of your day, of your life. You wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you say to yourself? Most of my clients that I've worked with used to wake up and have absolute a negative conversation with themselves every morning. The first thing to think about is, I won't use any language or bad language on here, but they think, oh gosh, another day, I've got to face this, I've got to face that, I've got to do that. And they think about the whole to-do list, and it was always negative. Now, when we finish working together, the first thing they do is they wake up in the morning and say, hallelujah, like, I'm breathing, I'm alive. I've got another day to make the most out of my life, working, connecting with friends, family. Even if there's a negative situation going on, you've got another day to make a difference. So I think that's an important point as well, about expressing the gratitude every day, because gratitude puts you in the best attitude.
And so someone comes to you and so they have a pain. Let's see, we talked about the neck area. What about people more like, I'm sure you worked with some very stressed out business people or people that are just very stressed about corporate. And
yes.
Yeah. And so I guess how do some of those manifestations, how do some of those things show up?
Well, for a lot of people who work in corporate, jobs, professions, got a lot of stress, especially self-employed people who've got big businesses turning £1 million, millions of pounds a year, and they're obviously are very motivated and passionate at doing the job, but also they've got personal relationships going on, issues going on in their own family life that they have to deal with. So they never see, especially men, they never see that the stress is connecting to the, say, lower back pain. All they start doing is having lower back issues and or knee problems, and then hip problems. And it's interesting because the lower back, or the stress that downloads into the body through the thoughts and feelings, is all connected with a whole baggage of emotions. It's where our values and beliefs sits. It's where our childhood memories sit. It's the relationships with the people we grew up with. But the most important thing, it's where fear sits: fear of change, fear of the unknown, uncertainty, judgment, feeling undervalued, not loved, disconnected from people. So when people are in high-powered jobs, always chasing the target, the goal, the outcome of, getting what they want, the lower back again is subconscious thinking. So it's there in a child as well. That's thinking, hey, I'm going to go and play. I want some relaxation time. But a lot of people who are at that level, it's work-life balance. It's a balance, but they think they're getting the balance, but they don't get the correct balance, really, because they can start having the physical issues brewing, especially in the lower back. So if it's not neck and shoulders, the most common area that people struggle with is lower back. Mm-hmm. And remember, all muscles are interconnected. So in the lower back, our subconscious runs the lower back and up to the mid back. So that's the point. All those muscle groups are run by the subconscious thinking, and our inner child connects with our stomach, our bowel, and our male or female organs that we have. So if we're not meeting our requirements, addiction patterns can start to trigger. So you might work with people that have addiction patterns such as unhealthy food choices, sugar addictions, alcohol, recreational drugs, gambling, things like that start to show up in people's lives, because it's like they're fighting fires all the time. They're a displaced person, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because they're not connecting to their real authentic self, or they're people pleasing constantly, or there's always something like that going on. So it's really important that when you work with high executives or anybody in a profession such as a consultant that I've worked with, or lawyers, you find that they have to learn how to really go back to basics. I take them right back and ground them to the beginning, and we look at, and most of the issues, to be quite honest, Julian, are grounded from childhood. And the healing can come from that. So, but the individual already knows the answer when I work with them. They just haven't recognized it. So they get experts involved like myself, yourself, or anybody else to guide them through the process to find the right answer.
It's amazing how a lot of things can stem from childhood. It's quite a fascinating thing that, but then I always say that no one comes unscathed from childhood. There's some type of scar will be accumulated during childhood. Some are just probably worse than others.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's how you respond to those scars, though, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Some people will become victims of their own life. They will go into always talking the negative story, because we've learned from being children, if you fell and you grazed your knee, then you cry, then a parent would you'd get love and connection from a parent to make it better. Usually a mother or a father figure or a grandparent would make it better. They would clean the graze, they put a plaster and kiss it better and make you feel great. So you see, we're getting love and connection. So we've learned how to get love and connection from people by telling sad stories, by being victims of our own pain. So sometimes it's not easy to go through the journey of recovery, because when we do, it can create more pain initially.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go through pain to really get the healing and the recovery. We might have to face ourselves, face what put us there in the first place. But the victory is sweet because we get rid of the pain, and also we get to connect with our true self, and I think and get the life we want and live the quality of life and live a long life as well. But you have to work on it every single day, and a lot of people can't be bothered to put the time or effort in, sadly. But you only get one life here. Why not live the best version of yourself?
Absolutely. And so as we get ready to kind of wrap this conversation down, what would you say are 3 things that listeners can do right now, or someone can do right now, in terms of kind of summing up everything that we talked about today?
Right. Well, there's a few things they can do, but I think for me the 3 key things is to help change that mindset is get moving. No matter what your condition is, health-wise or whatever, try and do some movement every day. If it's not exercise in the gym, it's get out for a walk. Walk around your apartment if you can't leave the apartment. Movement is magic. It actually creates a better mindset. It makes you more mindful. So movement is key in any form. Then hydration is important, and the most important is water. However, water, a lot of people, if they don't like it, they think there's too many bathroom visits if I drink too much water. But water is not just keeping you young and healthy and fit. It's rinsing out all the toxins that you build up in your body, and it's your natural painkiller. It will reduce inflammation and reduce pain quicker than a paracetamol, drinking a couple of glasses of water. And laugh more. Because when we laugh, we release good endorphins that heal the body. And so if people are in a negative mindset, which we are, as I said, 80% of the day, it's being more aware of doing, simple things like movement, more laughter, drink more water, and to improve your life. You can do a lot more, but I think those are the 3 simple basic things. I could have said meditation, but it doesn't work for everybody. Mm-hmm. If I said meditation, people say, oh, it's a turn off. I've tried that, it doesn't work. It does work. It does work. But you clear your computer, you delete stuff, and that's what a brief meditation does. It deletes all the junk mail, the repeated conversation times in our head. It deletes it from the brain and gives you a greater capacity. And also stop telling those negative stories to yourself. If you want a happy ending in life, like we do in the fairy tale stories we grew up with, we want the happy ending, then we have to write our own story with a happy ending. And if you can't do it on your own, reach out and get the help from the experts.
Excellent. And the last question here is, what is, let's say, one thing that you're most excited? What is something that you're very excited about in the future?
Oh, that everybody can have the opportunity to empower and take control of the role and well-being. Everyone has the capacity to be the best doctor inside them. I think technology evolving to allow things like this to happen, that you can access people globally all over the world and get programs out such as my Raise Pain program and podcasts out like this and reach so many people. So technology is brilliant as well, but I'm excited to empower people to take control of their pain, health and well-being. And I think that's the most important thing, to live a better quality of life.
Awesome. And so there is so much jam-packed in this episode. I really appreciate you joining me. And where can listeners keep up with you at? And
well, they can join me. They can go on to www.mbhtraining.com, which is my website, and contact me through there. And I'm, always drop me a line. I'm happy for that. And my Raise Pain program's there as well as my one-to-one consultations. And if any of your listeners as well would like a complimentary free discovery call for 30 minutes with me, just reach out via the website and connect with me. And I'm happy as a gift, as being a guest on your show today, your podcast, to offer your listeners that one-to-one discovery call.
Great to hear. And I will have all of this in the show notes and everything in case you happen to be listening to this while you are out running, walking, or some other activity where you do not have nothing to type right now. So with that said, everyone, stay awesome, be limitless. And as always, go be the CEO of your health and your life. Bye-bye.